From my understanding, I wonder where they're gonna go with it because these games are not known for their like great combat. So I wonder if they're trying to like hold on to that because it doesn't look like James can shoot his guns that fast, which I think is a good thing. But I'm kind of curious, like, are they gonna make the gunplay not that great on purpose? If you do make the gunplay better, you're gonna have to either make these dudes tanky or you're gonna have to throw a lot of people at them. And if they throw a lot of people at them, then it's gonna become more actiony. So I imagine if they're gonna make it tanky, which it kind of looked like that because they were taking quite a bit of hits when he was shooting them. They can't win, honestly. People are always criticizing it. Silent Hill 2. Well, I mean, it's definitely a uphill battle for sure for them with this because one, Konami hasn't really done anything in recent time to instill good faith in consumers. It doesn't even matter. Like we're not even talking about Silent Hill fans. Like if we were to break it down in multiple different categories, the Silent Hill games in general have been poor for a long time, right? Even in its own franchise. I'm not going to count PT because it didn't even come out. It stayed a demo forever. Or it stayed in the honeymoon phase forever. Nobody really got to experience the actual game. But all the Silent Hill games before that, I think from 3 and beyond, they've always been like heavily criticized. You really have to like force yourself to like them. So like series wise, it hasn't really been in a good reputation place. But then Konami themselves as a company hasn't been in good place. Like they haven't done many things that consumers like. They stepped away from video games. Like after Metal Gear Survive, they just started releasing just collections of stuff, like Castlevania collections, and then they kept Pro Evolution Soccer, and then somehow they jumboed that too. I don't know the specifics, but I know they got a lot of criticism for like their latest one. So somehow they fumbled that, and then we'll put that in category number 2. Category number 3 is blooper games. The person they're working with hasn't really produced the game that people love at all, really. I mean, they did Layers of Fear, but people criticize it for just being a walking sim. They say it's good, but it doesn't have any combat. And then they did The Medium, but The Medium was like heavily scrutinized upon release for being really short, and it had like a lot of tech problems, if I remember correctly. Blair's Witch, and people said it was meh. So the people behind the remake haven't really had the greatest reception either. And then 4, which I think is the most important one because it kind of encapsulates all 3 of them, and it's more recent. Their handling of the Metal Gear collection, I think, can't be ignored. I don't know if Konami's handling the Metal Gear collection themselves or if they're outsourcing it to someone. And the collection has had multiple problems on multiple devices. So, if that's how they're going to treat that, I like that's not instilling good faith in people if that's how you're going to treat arguably your most popular franchise. I don't think that's painting a good picture here for expectations for this. So if people are like criticizing this or their morale for Silent Hill 2 is in the dumpster, honestly, kind of where it should be. Konami hasn't really done much at all to inspire people to be excited for their games outside of like things that are beyond them, the simple fact of a game announcement. They have a very big uphill battle to fill, right? And you know, the circumstances outside of them with blooper games not really producing a game that really focuses on action leaves people questioning how's the action going to feel in this game. I think that's a valid concern. They got a lot to prove with this one. But hopefully it works out in the end for everybody involved. Like hopefully it works out for Konami. Hopefully it can massive copium, you know, mend the negative reputation that they have. Hopefully it's a good game for people who buy it. Hopefully it's a good game for fans of the series who have been replaying the same old games for eons. So hopefully those fans who have been keeping the series alive this entire time, hopefully this game is everything they want it to be and more, because there is a dedicated crowd of Silent Hill fans that play these games ridiculously, uh, and they try to keep the hope alive. So hopefully those fans will be rewarded with this, but only time will tell. Combat in the original is bad. Silent Hill has never been about combat, it's atmosphere and puzzles. Yeah, that's not going to translate in the modern gaming in a good way. You can get away with that on the PlayStation 2. You can get away with that on the PlayStation 1. You're not going to be able to get away with that as time goes on. The installment basis for those generations was much smaller, and the technology was much newer. Like, for instance, the PS4 or the PS1, that development from the previous generation was spanking new. So you have excuses that you could ploy. You don't have much to borrow from or examples to run your ideas off. But that excuse doesn't exist anymore. There are countless games that have done this over and over and over again now. So if you release your game and it has poor combat, or if the combat feels terrible, people are going to criticize it negatively because look around you and you have games that have great combat or it doesn't feel bad. So it's just not going to work for people. It's not going to work. And then another thing to consider is that while this franchise may not have had great combat, the last real game that got released for this was released during what, let's say, like the Wii generation, right? That was 2 generations ago. Video gaming has gotten a lot bigger. So, in almost like every franchise that comes out, the majority of the people who are buying these games are not fans of the franchise. And you need those people. You need those people for your series to stay alive. They're the bulk of your sales. If those people don't like the game and they spread bad word of mouth, it ain't gonna help you. And they most likely don't even know what Silent Hill is about. It's been a while since they've had an installment in this franchise, so it's not gonna work for them if that happens. And it's not like you can go around and play the early games, right? Like Silent Hill 1's not easily available without emulating it, or neither is 2 or 3. They're not easily available, so it's not like people can go play the shitty versions of the HD collection and get an idea of what the franchise is. They're going to be going into this blind. So, and they're going to expect a good product, right? Especially if it's $70.